Hello and welcome to day 12 of the 31-day mobility challenge. Today we are looking at our ankles and knees. So we're going to start off releasing the sole of our foot. So I'm going to go with a lacrosse ball today because I would like a little bit more pressure, but you could use your tennis ball. And again, you could come back and hold on to something for support. If balance is an issue, you can hold on to a wall or a post beside you. And we're going to start off by rolling the arch of our foot. So coming up and down the inside edge of the foot. Again, modifying the pressure on the other leg, or if you're holding on in the arm. So you're about a 5 out of 10. Then let's move into the middle of the foot. So straight down the middle. Concentrate on where your arches will get to the heel and the ball separately. Make sure that you're breathing. It's a good balance challenge as well, but I don't want it to be balance be the main thing. I want you to be able to focus on the pressure down into the ball. And then now onto the outer side of the ball, still on the sole of your foot, but to the outside edge. So rolling along there, seeing how that feels. Taking your time. Then let's go to the ball of the foot. So you could scrub forward and back, side to side. You could do little circles around. You could do some ball grabs, so grabbing the toes around the ball. Making sure that you are staying tight in your tummy and your bum, so you're bracing a little bit. That's going to help with balance. And let's try the heel of the foot, see what that feels like. You can put your toes on the floor to allow yourself to balance and get more pressure. So again, play around with the position that's best for you. So side to side, front and back, circles, you name it. Okay, let's try the other side. So on the arch of the other foot, for me, I'm noticing that this side is more sensitive than the other side. You might already know that your arches might be higher on one side than the other, or maybe you collapse in with one side. So all these things are going to influence how tight the muscles in the feet are. Whether you like to hang out on the outside edges of your feet. Okay, so coming into the middle of the foot this time. So directly under the foot, really adjusting that pressure down. And then the outside, towards the outside edge of the foot. I feel like people don't do enough, pay enough attention to their feet, so really good to just carve out some time to do this. So now we're going to go to the ball of the foot. See how that feels. Forward and back. Maybe some side to side. Some circles around. You can change direction. Could do some foot grabs over the ball. Trying to really squeeze the ball with the toes, making a bigger fist with your toes as you can. And then the heel of the foot finally. Put your toe down so you can press more into the heel. And again, just notice how that feels like on this side compared to the other side. Okay, so now we're going to release the muscle here, kind of along the side of the shin bone. So I've swapped my lacrosse ball for a tennis ball because I know that I'm tight here, or it can be quite uncomfortable for me in this muscle. So I would recommend starting with a tennis ball if you haven't done this before. So you can have your other leg in whatever position you feel comfortable. The tennis ball is under my leg, and I'm going to work from my knee maybe to the mid part of the leg first. So I'll just roll up and down, making sure I'm in the right position. I'm kind of more to the front of my leg than the middle of the leg, because if you see where the muscle is it's right kind of more at the front side here for me where I feel tension. You could lift your foot off the floor if that feels better for you, or you could have your foot supported. You could do some scrubbing motions forward and back. And you can apply pressure with that top hand down into the ball. When you've spent some time on that top half, you'll move it down to kind of mid-leg. And we're going to go from mid-leg down to your ankle, to just above the ankle bone, and see what that feels like there. Breathing, keeping a 5 out of 10. I'm holding some of my weight, or most of my weight, through this arm, so make sure I'm in a good position with this arm, that I've kind of not collapsed into the arm. Especially if you find that you're having too much intensity, you'll find other parts of your body will tighten up in response. So you want to really try and get the intensity right of the pressure that you're putting down into the ball. So let's try the other side. So I'll start from in the top portion and see how that feels today for me. So taking your time to get into the right spot, I found it straight away. So these muscles, if they're tight, they're going to have an impact on your knees and your ankles. So you want to, again, think about your whole leg. A lot of people just think about, oh, quads, hamstrings, calves. But we have so many more muscles, especially in our lower limbs, or in our lower leg and in through the feet, that we really need to pay attention to some of these lesser thought about muscles. And then we'll go from the mid part down to the ankle and see how that feels. So again, pressing down, as much pressure to give you that 5 out of 10. You can hold in a spot and press down, making sure you're breathing, making sure, that you are active in the shoulder. And adjusting the intensity appropriately. Okay, so we're going to go and do some foam rolling for the calves. So we'll sit with our foot up on the foam roller. So again, we'll divide the calf into there's 2 sections. So from the ankle to the kind of mid belly of the calf, and then from the mid to just behind the knee. So again, I'm taking pressure onto my arms to hold me, and you're going to lift your bum off the floor, and you're going to roll from your ankle to the mid calf. Play around with what it feels like to turn the foot out to the side, or what it would feel like to turn the toes in. And spend most time on the angle that you feel is the most tender for you. Again, 5 out of 10. If you find a spot that you'd like to focus on, you could relax your hips down, cross a leg over, and then press down with that top leg into the bottom leg. Then we'll release. We're going to come from the mid calf to just before the back of the knee, and see what that feels like. And again, changing the foot angle will give you different pressure on the different aspects of the lower leg. And again, if you find a spot that was particularly spicy, you could add that extra pressure down with that top leg. And just breathe. So before we move to the other leg, we're going to put the foam roller, for me I'm going to put it mid-calf, but you could have it anywhere along the calf that feels a good place for you to work on your release. And then we're going to point and flex the foot. Good. So really working on that ankle mobility, and you're getting a nice release in through the calf at the same time. So you'd want to do about 10 ankle pumps, 10 point and flex of the foot. and then we're going to move to the other side and we'll start foam rolling the lower portion of the calf. So from there, I'll put this leg out of the way so you can still see. So from the back of the ankle to your mid calf. Again, thinking about being nice and strong in that upper body. If holding yourself up is really a challenge, then just do smaller movements with the bum down on the floor. You can still get the same effect without getting such a upper body workout. So modify it again to what feels right for you. So thinking about changing the foot angle, turning the toes in, turning the toes out, and then if you find a spot you want to concentrate on, locking the other leg behind and breathing. If you remember in one of the other ankle videos, I did show you a modification of rolling with our legs up on a chair, rolling the calves with the ball. And you can lay down on your back with your legs up. So this will be another modification if you found that it's just too tiring on the arms. So now I'm going from the mid belly of the calf just to below the knee, changing angles of the foot, breathing. So I'm turning the foot out now. And then I'm going to find that spot. I'm going to lock my leg over and I'm just going to hold there and breathe. Thinking about shoulders back and down so I've not lost my neck into my shoulders. And I'm breathing. I showed a lot of forward and back action. You can, do more scrubbing side to side at any time as well. So now we're going to do the pointing and flexing. So I'm kind of mid calf here, and then I'm going to work on that pointing and flexing of the foot. So do about 10 ankle pumps. So we'll do the same on each side. Making sure that you're breathing, trying to really work through the end ranges, so point as much as you can, pull as much as you can, rather than just really think about, is that as far as I can go? Okay, so we will get rid of the foam roller and we're going to move to some stretches. So we're going to stretch our calf. We're going to come and use something like a block, or you could use a book, and we're going to come to standing. So we did a version of this the other day when we did our calf stretches, but we're going to add slightly different angles. So I'm going to put my foot up the foam block, and I'm going to start with my other leg behind me, and I'm going to just lean into that front foot and push the heel down to the floor. So if you feel that you need to be near a wall for support, then have a wall at the side of you. So you'll spend about 10 seconds in that first position, and then you're going to move your foot alongside your other foot. Still pushing down through your heel on that back leg. Again, using the wall for support as much as you need to. So we've increased the stretch more by bringing that foot alongside. And then so 10 seconds there, and then the final position, we're going to step that foot in front. It's going to add even more pressure through that back leg. I'm trying to drive that back heel to the floor. I'm going to breathe. So if this position in front is too intense, then come back to feet in line with each other. So again, 5 out of 10 for your stretch here. And then we'll see what it feels like on the other side. And notice when you come out of the stretch, does my calf feel different when I'm coming out of the stretch to when I first went into the stretch? Hopefully it will feel lighter and more flexible. So breathing here, pushing your heel down to the floor. Stay nice and balanced. So about 10 seconds with that foot behind you, really lengthening through the back of the lower leg. Then bringing the foot alongside, still pushing that heel down to the floor. Giving that muscle time in this static position to lengthen. So that's why we don't want to rush through the positions, and if you can have time to stay here longer than 10 seconds, then do that. And then I'm going to step in front. So this is as far as I can go on this side. This is my super tight side. Maybe I can go a little bit more. And I'm breathing. And I'm quietly dying inside and I'm not really. So 5 out of 10, that might be a little bit more for me than this. So I'm going to pull this leg back because I was definitely more than a 5 out of 10 for that one. So play around with that foot distance. Just because I show all the different variations doesn't mean that you have to do all the different variations. And as you can see through the videos, it doesn't mean that they're super easy for me as well. So I'm learning as you are. I'm trying to improve my mobility at the same time. So we're all in this together, trying to make our body feel better. So next we're going to go into, we're going to do the half kneeling Soleus. So think calf is this big belly here. Soleus is, further down towards the ankle. So we need to have a bent leg for this position. So we're going to put the foot up onto a box or the block, and then I'm into a half kneeling position. If you would like something for balance, bring your foam roller along and then use your foam roller to support the arm on that side. So you want to be thinking about pushing down the heel into the floor. So if you can balance and press down with 2 hands, then do that. Breathe. You could add a little forward and back rocking motion if you have the range to be able to do that. If you feel pretty blocked and not being able to get very far, then stay where you are. Maybe you need to take your back knee out to the side a little bit more to give you more room in your hips to lunge forward. So you should feel the stretch more down through this lower portion of the lower leg. So another thing you want to look for when you're in this position is that your knee is tracking over that first toe, so the knee isn't collapsing in or opening too wide. You can play around with kind of rolling on that ankle forward and back a little bit to see if you need to stretch into those areas, but generally you want that knee to track forward. Okay, let's try that on the other side. I'll switch over so you can see. And again, I know I have differences on sides in terms of a stiffer ankle on one side than the other. Maybe you've sprained your ankles before in the past, so maybe one ankle is stiffer than the other. Maybe one ankle is looser than the other. So ideally we want to try to work so they become like close as we can to being the same on both sides. So really pushing down, making sure that you haven't lifted the heel off the floor. We want to be driving that heel into the floor. If it feels easier to let that box lift up a little bit so you can press down. Don't be surprised if you feel it in other areas. Maybe you feel your hamstring, maybe you feel your groin. So again, you can wiggle side to side, see what that feels like. Just check that your knee hasn't collapsed in. Pressing down, breathing, adding the little pulses. And we're going to rest from there. Nice. So moving these out of the way. So we're going to do some knee to wall oscillations. So I'm going to pretend that this is the wall. And what I'm basically going to try and do is get my knee to touch the wall. So you could do this against a wall, but I'm just going to do it here for demonstration purposes. So I'll hold my wall still. And I've got the roller right against the wall. So first thing I'm going to do is 10 knee touches of my knee to the wall. So hopefully everybody has this range of motion in their ankle that they can keep their heel down and touch the knee to the roller. So then we're going to challenge it and we're going to take the foam roller a little bit away from the toes, press down, and again do 10 oscillations. Forward and back, knee tracks over that first toe, And we're breathing, so we're trying to see, okay, I've made a bigger gap for my knee to travel. My heel is staying firmly planted on the floor. And we do 10 oscillations. So then I'm going to go, okay, what's my next point that I could get to? Shuffling it forward. And then, so there's going to be a point where you get to and your heel's going to want to lift off so you're able to get to the wall. Try not to let the competition of getting to the wall take away from your ability to do the right technique. So the right technique is heel down to the floor. So you'll do 10 in each position, and then you can maybe go further away, and then, so now I cannot touch my knee to the wall. So that would be my limit for today. What you could do in the position that you got to, you can make a note of this measurement and see how that measurement changes over time as your ankle mobility increases with practice. Okay, so again, not assuming both sides are the same. We'll start with the toes against the wall, and you'll lunge forward, making sure that knee tracks over that first toe. If you're against the wall, you could have your hands against the wall, or you could use your hands to drive the knee forward. So you do 10 little kisses of the knee to the wall. Making sure that you're hip distance apart, so if you feel too narrow and wobbly, then feel free to open up through the legs a little bit more. So then I'm going to try my second position. Good. Lunging that knee forward, driving towards that roller or to the wall. Again, you could have your other foam roller to the side. You could be using that for balance if you feel unstable. Good. And we'll go for one more. I don't know how much of my ankle has got left on this side. So one easy way to do that is go as far as you think you can, put the wall, put the block there, and then you can work to that end range. So that's a challenge for me to come this distance. So I definitely have less range in this ankle, which I knew about. This is my stiffer side. And then another good thing, if you take a measurement of the toe to the wall, you can see differences between sides. So if one side is particularly tighter than the other side, my suggestion would be that you would spend more time on that side. So if I was doing 10 reps on my better side, then I would maybe do 20 reps on this side, or do 5 on that side and 10 on this side. So you're just giving that side a little bit of extra love and TLC. So from our wall oscillations, we're going to try those calf raises again. We did it supported the other day. Let's try unsupported. So we're going to put the ball in between our heels. We're going to squeeze the ball together, and we're going to clench our fists and tighten our arms and squeeze the armpits. That's going to help. The tension is going to help for balance. You'll squeeze the ball, you'll come up onto your toes and come back down. So if this feels like you can't get into the movement because of balance, then please hold a wall next to you or in front of you to do this. Because I don't want the balance to take away from the strengthening and the flex, the kind of range of motion you're getting through your feet. So we're probably going to do like 20 today. And you could build up over time to see if you can get those 50 reps. So I saw some research that suggested that you should be able to do 50 calf raises on one leg before you start venturing out doing any kind of prolonged running activities. So we're going to come back to do single leg at the end of the session, and we'll do a little test and see how close we can get to 50 reps on each side. Okay, so we'll leave that there today. So working up to try to get to 50 reps with both legs. Now I'm going to do a toe touch matrix. So we have 3 movements. So imagine we've got a clock face. We're going to tap, we're going to take our weight onto one leg. We're going to tap our foot forward. So 12 o'clock. then we're going to go out to the side, 3 o'clock, then we're going to go back to 6 o'clock, and then we'll come through. So touch forward, touch side, touch back. I'm just going to scooch forward a little bit more. So forward. So I'm thinking about the stability in this ankle. So I'm trying to balance on one leg and then moving the limb in these different dimensions is going to help work on our balance and challenge our balance more. Good. So think about what's happening at your foot. Remember we talked about that tripod foot. So I want to think about pressure in my big toe, little toe, and heel, and that I'm making an arch with my foot by just gripping the floor slightly. So if you feel that your weight is staying on the inside edge of your foot, then put more pressure on your big toe. If you feel that you're on your big toe and collapsing in, put more pressure on towards the outside aspect of the foot. And we'll change size. And we'll notice, you might notice that your foot, the muscles in your foot got tired, that was a balance challenge for you, so it was a strength challenge for you. Maybe it was a little bit of both. So we're bending that supporting leg slightly, reaching out in front, side, and behind. So you could make this movement really small to start off with while you get your balance. Or you can really challenge yourself and reach forward as far as you can, out to the side as far as you can. So again, thinking about your foot on this side. Is it the same? Do you want to put your pressure on your big toe more on this side than the outside edge of your foot? Do you want to be on your heel of your foot more than your toes? So notice where your body wants to naturally hold the tension in your foot, and try and equal it out between those three pieces of your tripod. And with doing this tenting of the foot, where I'm kind of almost gripping with the foot a little bit to create that natural arch. Okay, so perfect. So you'd want to do about a minute on each side of those toe touches. Okay, so I promised those single leg calf raises, so let's see how we do with those. We want to take balance out of the equation. So you're going to come and stand supported. You're going to take one foot around the back of the other leg, and you're going to come up into your single leg calf raise. And you're just going to see how many can I do on one leg. And you want to be honest. So once you start getting to the place where you feel that you're barely lifting the heel off the floor, then that's when you should stop. Or if you feel that you're having to tense like your bum or other muscles in your leg to be able to get the heel up, then again that would be a time to stop. So you'd go for as many as you can, and then it would be important to just kind of make a note of, okay, how many did I get? And then that would be your score to beat, to try to work up to 50. But just because you got this 50 in your mind, I'm changing side, doesn't mean you're going to do whatever you have to get 50 out in your first time that you do it. So you'll just do as many as you can with good technique. Never sacrifice technique for ego, I would call it. So really thinking about lifting up through that full foot. So I'm not rolling onto my outside edge of my foot. I'm not rolling onto just my big toe. Try and get the toes to bend, to allow you to come up. So working on our foot mobility as well, our ability of our foot to bend, to lift you up. Okay, and then you'd make a note of how many you did on that side. So I hope you enjoyed your knee and ankle workout today. There's no breathing included in today's workout, but if you want to practice one of the other breathing sections that we did, laying on your back, seated, laying down, laying in your twist position, then feel free to go into that now. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.